It's an English smear on Canal.
Wondering if the plan is still to go for early men-at-arms here. Apparently, looks like it is. I think LucifroN... No, never mind. They're not going for early men-at-arms.
I see. Nope. They're mirroring each other.
Normally, okay. I guess they... I'm thinking that they probably, like, you know how these pro players, they usually have like a notepad open where it's like, oh, my opponent picks this, I'm gonna play it like that, I pick this on that map, and so on and so forth. I think they might just have this very same notepad open at the same time, just sharing sharing ideas here. Looks like VortiX went for 2 villagers to drop his dog, and
it's causing problems.
That's a 5-second delay there on the dog.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be costly.
That's the difference maker.
Caspa's wolf out on the map.
The difference maker here.
Yeah. So both players going, of course, out for that mid. Now, I would assume at some point you might see a wall built there mid, but not really sure. We'll see. That's a pretty popular strategy here on this map. And going for those, so a difference here, VortiX bring the 2 villagers forward. Not only to build it faster, but he is gathering from those shorefish. So that's going to be a faster gather rate than the sheep. So it allows him to actually get his food up a little faster. And I'll be interested to see if they'll make any barracks or any shenanigans like that here in the Dark Age, or if it's just going to be moving up to the feudal.
Yeah, so usually if your villagers are gathering from sheep, they're bringing in around 38 food per minute. If they're gathering from shorefish, it's around like 50 food per minute. So it's a pretty big difference there. Does make a huge difference if you have like 2 villagers there in the front gathering from the shorefish.
Okay, so right now the stage is set. Sheep getting knocked out in the middle of the map. Look at that, our first blood here today in this series. And you can see VortiX
you snooze, you lose.
VortiX is just, he's 1 villager ahead right now. He's able to train. This is fishing, but just a little faster. He's staying ahead of his brother. Which one of them's older? Do you know?
Like older is in the seconds, or that they're older?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm sure they know. Twins love that.
That's probably the best kept hidden secret. Actually, people in chat are already saying that's LucifroN.
LucifroN. Okay, there you go. So, yeah, they're not twins.
So LucifroN went out first, and he took all the hair with him. That was to be divided between the 2.
There you go. Okay, 17 to 70. Okay, VortiX just barely ahead, of course, on that production. So a slight difference, but probably won't have a massive change as we get here later. Not seeing any barracks or anything crazy like that. Just standard, getting their food, and I'm assuming going to grab their gold and age up here in the near future. So a map that typically has just so much Dark Age pressure in a lot of the matchups we've seen. Even think about the last game. This is probably the most passive I've seen this map.
I think this is just going to be played like this all the way until Castle Age. I'm thinking that probably in Feudal Age we're going to be seeing both of them just make a couple of longbows feeling each other out, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You want to get gold? Okay, I'll try to deny your gold. But I don't think we'll see a lot of major aggression in the Feudal Age. I think it's very much just going to be a Castle Age kind of scenario here, just because this is an English mirror, and that's just the way it goes.
You know, I just love this storyline. What's better than sitting down with your brother and playing a little Age of Empires 4 in front of, you know, about 3,000 people? This is just so wholesome. I mean, I'm sure they're like, you know, sitting in the same room back to back here, you know, facing off. This is just great. Peak Age of Empires. You know, I played a lot of Age of Empires with my brother growing up. And we always love hitting the team ladder and trying all kinds of crazy strategies, whether it was AoE 2 or Age of Mythology or AoE 3. And here we are in AoE 4.
I'm just imagining, remember, like back in the days when we were playing split screen co-op games?
No screen
Don't look
cheating.
at my monitor, man. Don't look, man.
No,
you looked. I knew you looked.
I remember with my brother, we like got like a giant box for some delivery or whatever, and we like went to the TV in the basement and we like built like a divider with the box so that we could like split screen like GoldenEye or something, and there was no screen cheating going on.
All right, both players now going up to the Feudal Age. Council Hall being built with 6 villagers for LucifroN, VortiX only using 5. So far, everything's looking pretty much equal. We got like some slight differences here when it comes to the villager distribution on the resources. LucifroN has a couple more villagers on wood in comparison to VortiX. And now we see VortiX moving towards the middle, placing a little palisade wall there. That means that there's not going to be any early feudal age water aggression between these two players just because the ships can't reach each other.
Yep, so we've got that wall down mid. It looks like LucifroN's coming out to do the same as well. And there we go, New Age begins. LucifroN and Feudal, both with Council Hall, of course. And we'll see if any variance of strategy comes out. But so far, it's been pretty similar here. VortiX is actually going to have a little bit stronger economy. He did age a little slower, but he was just like, he's been like one villager ahead throughout some of this stuff. So just like slightly, but it is a very small difference. And keeping that fishing alive. I wonder if this will be like, do they build military buildings or do they just go straight for castle? What do you think?
Like LucifroN, since he's been having more villagers over to wood, it's kind of obvious that he's going to go for some longbows. Now, VortiX is doing the same. He's also making longbows, but he doesn't have the same wood economy that LucifroN has, because LucifroN, not only does he have more villagers in wood, he's also getting double VortiX right now. So his wood gathering is going to be way better. He's also grabbing a wheelbarrow behind this. But at the same time, VortiX, he doesn't need to invest that much into longbows. He can literally just invest the minimum amount into longbows in order to defend himself. And behind that, he's just going to be able to go to Castle Age. This is why I think that in this kind of matchup, it's all about that fast Castle Age timing. Because realistically, no English player is going to get taken out in Feudal Age. Usually it always goes at least to Castle Age in order to take an English player out. Just because the TCs and the network of castles is so strong early on. It's not really feasible unless the English player massively misplays that you're going to be able to take them out in the feudal age. And we can see VortiX, he's thinking exactly like that. He's gathering up those resources that he needs to go up to the next age. And yeah, it's a pretty fast age-up timing here from him.
Look at the difference. LucifroN actually going for the wheelbarrow here in the second age. And you see VortiX about to click up already. And LucifroN seems to be a little bit behind him, but he'll have that wheelbarrow. At least he also got his first lumber upgrade, so going for a few eco-techs, but we'll see if it matters when VortiX hits the castle age, as he's currently slapping down the King's Palace. I don't think he's watched Drongo's White Tower build yet, so we've got a King's Palace going to be built there. That is essentially a second town center for the English, so that'll help his villager boom as he heads into the castle age.
LucifroN realizes that he is not going to be able to deny the castle age timing here from VortiX, so he's now also going to go for a castle age timing of his own. But yeah, now we see how difficult it is. Excellent micro coming up from these two players, moving back the weak longbows. And yeah, it's really difficult. You can't really deny the castle age from the English in most situations unless they leave themselves open for like a timing push, or if they're going for a second TC in feudal age. Now we see LucifroN also going up with the King's Palace. The only difference here between these two players is that VortiX doesn't have his King's Palace on gold mine.
What do you think he's
so
make?
he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to defend his gold mine with his King's Palace. But yeah, it looks like it's just going to be knights from both of these players here.
Don't they know they just could have the White Tower and they could have just pumped out knights. They wouldn't even need those stable.
They're already thinking about this game is going to be going on for like 3.5 hours a day, so better get the extra villagers in earlier rather than later.
Yep. So so far, pretty much a complete mirror. Not a whole lot of action other than a few of these light skirmishes here. These are the precursors to the war that's to follow. And a scout blocking that wall right now, just getting some intel, I guess. But both of them probably gonna be making knights. So if you like seeing knights charge around the battlefield, that's about gonna happen. LucifroN's longbow is about to get mopped up by this single knight, which is of course gonna be its hard counter as he reaches the castle age with a few upgrades that you see actually VortiX is now grabbing.
Yeah, so getting these upgrades earlier means that his economy so far is going to scale a little bit better. And he's also going to be able to immediately pump out 3 knights out of his stables that he's built. And yeah, I think this early aggression here in Castle Age, in the early Castle Age, isn't going to give too much to either of these two players right now. unless, of course, there's going to be like a major misplay. Somebody throws away all of their units for free. But I think probably sooner rather than later, I believe that LucifroN will try to aim for relic timing here. Gonna go out and get some of these relics. VortiX right now seems like he's just gonna try and keep spamming more and more knights. But I think LucifroN, since he already dropped down these 3 stables earlier, is probably gonna be the first one to go for a monastery here.
Yep, so the knights charging around. Wolf chasing, but not going to have a whole lot of success catching that knight right now. And, yeah, grabbing relics. Does VortiX have a monastery? I've not seen any.
You see that LucifroN also already has a monk in the production queue?
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
That's like the difference when you get that early double VortiX. You're gonna have much more wood with fewer villagers.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be able to get those buildings out sooner. And yeah, we see that. So VortiX is gonna have a little bit of a head start here when it comes to those relics.
Yep. So relics being grabbed, just kind of positioning still. They're playing 30-minute no rush half map. They're not doing too much. I guess a few fights going on there. He does see that monk coming on out, but so he's going to start moving towards him, but the knight's going to probably position to protect. We'll see how it goes as the numbers grow. See what, 8 knights for LucifroN, 7 for VortiX. Here we go. Charge coming in. A little bit of a joust as VortiX moves back. They do their damage and say, okay, good game, so we'll move back to my side.
Yeah, neither player at this point wants to risk losing all of their military. They're I mean, that's just typical. You don't really want to engage right now because you're not sure if maybe your opponent's economy is set up a little bit better. So you won't be sure if you can just outproduce your opponent. So right now, both players are just going to be playing it a little bit more safe. They're going to be adding farms behind this. They're going to be making more and more knights and try and get map control, get relics behind this. We see VortiX, he went for 2 monks. LucifroN, he stays on that single monk that he's made so far. Knight numbers a little bit in favor of LucifroN right now, but nothing major. Looks like VortiX also made another scout at one point, just in order to keep more map vision, map awareness. Yeah, we see that relics right now, 2 relics are on their way to VortiX's base. Fight now in the middle, knights clashing.
Okay, get a fall.
The palings. Just moving in with the longbos and then placing the palings in melee range. That's pretty good.
Will he get that relic back home, or will VortiX try to snipe it? Looks like VortiX is moving back right now. Man, oh man.
Yeah, I think that LucifroN potentially is going to be able to get that. Like, it's all going to be about that relic in the bottom now, because both players know that that's the last relic remaining.
You know, Snoop's got a really good point. The king would be really useful right now because they're not doing a whole lot of longbows. They could heal those knights up and then, you know, go back in for round 2.
You just take that severed arm, you put a band-aid over, good as new. Keep going to battle, soldier. It's just a flesh wound. That's pretty much the job of the king in the field. And now we see VortiX adding in some barracks, so possibly gonna be some spearman spam now behind that. I'd rather see some crossbows mixed in as well. I think crossbows are probably just better because you already have the knights as a potential meat shield. And then the crossbows are just really able to clean up those units. And with range, that's not a matter of pathing. You can just have those crossbows be on a move and they're going to be a-okay, killing as much as they possibly can.
Look at the villager count right now. It's just like been so mirrored. Oh, it just went steady on 72. Oh, LucifroN pulls ahead. Oh, now they're tied up again. We're just playing this mirror. I don't.
Moving out towards that relic on the map. So looks like he's gonna be the one to get that relic in the bottom and get that 3 relic advantage here.
This is one of the only maps, other than I guess Confluence, that has 4 sacred sites, which is unique. We see a monk going down. Oh boy.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of maps that have 4 sacred sites. Yeah, actually only. Wait, doesn't the New Four Lakes have sacred sites? Yeah, New Four Lakes has sacred sites in every single corner.
Yeah, that's true. We're having It looks like we've got Knight going into the back line right now. Going to charge in. Going to try to...
wait for the villager, so. Looks like he killed one. Could kill a second. Yeah, second villager goes down. Not sure if that's too worth it. I mean, you lost a Knight. That's 240 resources. And enemy lost 2 villagers. That's going to pay off eventually, but both players have 2 TCs. They're going to be able to be just fine without those 2 villagers.
All of chat is anxiously awaiting the moment these 2 battles will face off. 15 minutes they've been preparing, gathering their resources, aging through their empires, and making knights and farms, and eventually, there's going to be some action here, and it'll be over in a blink of an eye, so don't blink as they run around with their knights more and more and more. Trying to make some drama.
The army of VortiX right now looking good. Way more units out on the field right now. The Spearman mass, there's not really any counter right now from LucifroN. He's adding some more longbows at this point in time. Not sure if he's going to be able to add enough longbows in time. He does have a lot of food floating right now. I feel like he could just make... Right now you can... you can... That's the new change. You can just make crossbows out of your council hall. I'm really surprised that we're not seeing any crossbows made out of the council hall.
Well, maybe we will eventually, but villagers moving up to the forward wood line. You see VortiX has already built a little wall to the north side of his base. I guess they both kind of mirrored the wall. They're mirroring everything out here. Oh my gosh. Knight's facing off in the middle. Looks like LucifroN's going to be on the run. He took 1 Knight down, but has some on low HP.
Ooh. Not moving back. Losing that Knight. Now the Knights are being outmassed here from LucifroN.
Boy, oh boy, there we go.
Little clean up here.
Right there. Okay, well,
you gotta take the engagements wherever you can. They're far and few between.
Like, you just, my knights, we're starting this war. He's charging in here right now. He's got his tower, and this game's about to get underway. Longbows on the front line, though. Don't know about that. As they pull back, they take the fight, and the spears push on in.
There's only one player with a network of citadels, castles still right now. Not sure how big of a difference this is gonna make, considering that. Yeah, pretty much all the longbows went down now because they were on the front line, and the spears are very slow to reinforce here. Spears get the biggest bonus out of the network upgrade or like bonus as well, because it depends on the unit, but it looks like LucifroN is actually getting completely cleaned up now.
Wow.
And yeah, that's English Mirror. You played 2 hours to die like this, pretty much.
17 minutes of booming, 1 fight to rule them all. That battle up to the north, that set all this in motion. And, okay, we see VortiX pulling back a little bit as the longbows are reinforced. Of course, fighting underneath that extra bonus from the tower helped LucifroN in that engagement. You can look at the army count at the top of your screen, 45 military for VortiX versus the 26 of LucifroN. So, and of course, looking at the destruction value in the bottom left, you can really tell it's been in favor of VortiX, but continues to fight, charging into the wood line. Spears charge in. Lots of villagers down south up for grabs. Gotta be careful there.
That's, yeah, we see the worker kills suddenly. Wait, what? Something happened with the worker kills. I guess it's the fishing ship? Yeah, there's nothing on water remaining, so they just killed the yeah, they just killed the fishing ships. I was like, wait. It's a lot of worker killed. Something's not adding up.
Well, at least it's not like an Age of Empires is 3. Every time you lose a unit, like the enemy gets experience towards a home city shipment. So when you delete them, like that gives them a bunch of like experience that helps them. So at least in this case, it doesn't. It's just a stat you see on the screen.
No feeding the opponent.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got LucifroN might have lost a few numbers, but still looking pretty confident. He's moving out right with his army right now, but outside of the safety of his tower. See how this goes. He has some spearmen, but I don't know if he has enough spearmen as this knight's charge forward. The VortiX just going to kind of position. It was all bluff, going to pull back, and a little bit of back and forth here on these engagements. Relic-wise, both players have 2 relics secured.
I'm surprised that VortiX didn't go out for that relic on the bottom side. He still has monks out, so there's nothing saying that he couldn't go for that.
Yeah.
Behind that, LucifroN is trying to capture some of the sacred site. VortiX has started walling off the sacred sites towards the bottom. Also behind that, he's walling off a market, so could potentially trade later on in the game if this really goes much, much longer. Just because we all know that the English gold generation through the farms has been heavily nerfed in this last patch.
Yeah.
So that basically means that even if you're playing as the English, in most situations, if you want to spam high-value units, you gotta be at least getting a little bit of gold through external sources. You can't just be completely reliant on your farms. So that's a pretty good change. But yeah,
you're
both
saying
these
you
players,
have to gather resources to play in the later game now.
yeah, English players don't like to hear that.
Now, LucifroN finally has the military numbers advantage for kind of the first time this game, and trying to build a fort or tower, but doesn't have it up yet. Taking this engagement, a lot of knights and spearmen charging forward and then positioning their army. The knights, though, on the front line for LucifroN, taking the blunt of those spearmen damage. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what's happening here, but we've got longbows trading blows. Towers being built, trying to get the speed bonus.
Yeah, LucifroN is winning this fight.
Yeah,
that's really good for him. He had the aura up because he already made another outpost in the back, and now he is the one that's going to be able to clean up VortiX's army.
Wow.
And VortiX, he doesn't have the biggest production behind us. He's also been looking to switch into men-at-arms. I'm not sure why he's switching into men-at-arms. He's getting like all the men-at-arms upgrades right now, but why would you switch into men-at-arms when both players are still spamming out so many knights? And there we go. You played 2 hours to die like this, says LucifroN to VortiX. Earlier it looked like VortiX was saying that to LucifroN, but no, it's gonna be a reverse now, and VortiX calls it. I guess he just didn't keep up with the production. I think he thought, okay, I won this fight, I can fall back now, but that was not the case.
I mean, I don't think there's much more I can say other than chat summing up perfectly. Another riveting English mirror. And hey, at least that means we've got all of the English out of the way for this series. It is a best of 5. But of course, congrats on this first game to LucifroN. That first battle, you can see it in the timeline, went handedly in VortiX's favor, and then he boomed right back in it. Took just one great engagement, and that positioning was really all he needed to get some points on the board. So that'll be game number 1 here between LucifroN and VortiX.
Yeah, that military graph basically said it all. Call an ambulance, but not for me. And man, that was gonna be that was gonna be an interesting one. Now I talked about this earlier. They might be sharing the very same notepad. They might be sharing the very same text file that they're using to note down all their strategies. And
don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I'm not telling anything yet, but I got the suspicion. I got the suspicion that we're gonna see every single mirror imaginable between these two players just because they have the same strategies. And let's see